begins. This is no longer just about talent. It is about survival, pressure, and who can handle the weight of expectation on the biggest clay stage in tennis. Welcome back to Anything Trend. Subscribe right now, smash the like button, and let us break down the latest WTA rankings as Roland Garros 2026 officially begins. At number 39, Emma Raducanu drops slightly after a first-round exit at Roland Garros, losing 60 points. The British star continues to struggle for consistency at Grand Slam level, and this early exit is another reminder that rebuilding momentum remains her biggest challenge. At number 35, Alexandra Eala continues her impressive rise, climbing 2 places as she pushes deeper into the top 40. The Filipino star, now among Asia's brightest talents, is steadily building momentum on the big stage. And this move inside the top 35 strengthens the belief that a top 30 breakthrough again is only a matter of time if she maintains this consistency at Grand Slam level. At number 30 is Anastasia Potapova. The Austrian-born Russian remains steady despite dropping 60 points, but there is a growing feeling that she is struggling to build momentum during this crucial clay stretch. At number 29, Xinyu Wang is one of the quiet winners of this week. The Chinese star climbs 5 places after adding 60 points, proving consistency can still create movement during the rankings chaos. At number 28 is Hailey Baptiste, who slips 2 places after losing 170 points. The American still shows flashes of promise, but the pressure of defending deeper slam points is clearly beginning to bite. At number 27, Ann Lee edges upward by 2 places despite dropping points herself. That tells you everything about how unstable the rankings have become entering Roland Garros. At number 26 is Madison Keys, and this is one of the biggest drops inside the top 30. The American crashes 7 places after losing 420 points, raising serious questions about her current trajectory on clay. At number 25, Marie Bouskova gains 3 positions and quietly keeps herself moving upward. In a week where many players are collapsing, stability is becoming a weapon. At number 24 is Emma Navarro, climbing 1 place as she continues to remain competitive during a brutal rankings transition period. At number 23, Diana Schneider loses 60 points and remains under pressure heading into Paris. The talent is there, but consistency is still the missing ingredient. At number 22 is Anna Kalinskaya, moving up 2 places without major drama. Sometimes surviving the rankings storm is enough to create opportunity. At number 21, Clara Tauson suffers disappointment after dropping 1 place and crashing out early at Roland Garros. The Dane needed a stronger clay campaign to maintain momentum. At number 20 is Leylah Fernandez, climbing 2 places and slowly rebuilding her position among the elite names in women's tennis. At number 19, Elise Mertens also gains 2 spots. The Belgian continues to prove why experience matters during unpredictable slam periods. At number 18 is Sorana Cirstea. Even at 36 years old, the Romanian is still fighting inside the top 20 after another respectable week on tour. At number 17, teenage sensation Iva Jovic loses 60 points. But remaining this high at just 18 years old is already sending a warning to the rest of the tour. At number 16 is Naomi Osaka. The former world number 1 remains stable, but fans are still waiting for that explosive slam resurgence that once terrified the tennis world. At number 15, Marta Kostyuk reaches a new career high after gaining 60 valuable points. The Ukrainian continues to grow into one of the most dangerous competitors on tour. At number 14 is Ekaterina Alexandrova, who loses points and continues drifting slightly during this clay campaign. At number 13, Jasmine Paolini also loses ground after dropping 230 points. The Italian is beginning to feel the pressure of maintaining last season's momentum. At number 12 is Linda Noskova, reaching a career-high ranking and quietly becoming one of the rising threats of the next generation. At number 11, Belinda Bencic gains points and edges closer to returning into the top 10 conversation once again. Breaking into the top 10 at number 10 is Karolina Muchova. Injuries may have slowed her in previous years, but her class and composure continue to keep her among the elite. At number 9, Victoria Mboko reaches a career high at only 19 years old. The Canadian teenager is becoming one of the biggest breakout stories of 2026. At number 8 is Mirra Andreeva. The Russian teenager loses points, but her ceiling remains frighteningly high as she continues to gain experience at the biggest tournaments. At number 7, Elena Svitolina loses 420 points. Yet the Ukrainian warrior continues to fight her way through one of the toughest eras in women's tennis. At number 6 is Coco Gauff, and this is where the real shock begins. The defending Roland Garros champion drops 2 places after losing a massive 1,990 points from last year's triumph. Suddenly, the American enters Paris carrying enormous pressure to stop the rankings' damage from getting even worse. At number 5, Amanda Anisimova climbs 1 spot and continues her remarkable resurgence. Few players have rebuilt their careers as impressively as the American this season. At number 4 is Jessica Pegula, who quietly moves upward despite losing points herself. Her consistency continues to separate her from many of her rivals during this unstable period. At number 3, Iga Świątek remains among the elite, but the warning signs are becoming impossible to ignore. The Polish superstar drops significant points, and for the first time in years, her dominance on clay no longer feels untouchable. At number 2 is Elena Rybakina, calm, powerful, and incredibly efficient. The Kazakh star continues to stay within touching distance of the world number 1 position. And finally, at number 1, Aryna Sabalenka remains the queen of the WTA rankings despite losing over 1,000 points herself. The Belarusian, last year's Roland Garros runner-up, knows this stage better than most, and yet she has still managed to survive the rankings earthquake better